We are definitely getting started. So good morning, everyone. Good morning. On behalf of the entire Center for American Progress and our staff, I'm thrilled to welcome you to the 2018 Ideas Conference. Today, we'll hear from dynamic and diverse voices who are driving change across our country, discussing issues from economic opportunity to racial justice, from women's leadership to climate change. And though the purpose of today's conference is highlighting bold new ideas that can shape the future of the progressive movement and our entire country, I'd like to begin by just spending a few minutes to reflect on our past. Because 2018 does mark the 15th anniversary of the Center for American Progress. Back in 2003, when CAP got started, conservatives controlled the House, the Senate, and the White House. Their policies had already begun to hurt American families and to damage our standing in the world. Sound familiar? It is. CAP was created during that political atmosphere to serve as an engine for daring new solutions that could allow progressives to reclaim our country and advance the values we hold so dear. But we've also done more than generate ideas. We've paired these ideas with strategies and activism to turn them into laws that can change people's lives. And I'd like to just give one example of the unique role we've played. All the way back in the spring of 2005, we published a paper that provided the framework for the Affordable Care Act. Then we pushed year in and year out to build support for these ideas among allies, candidates, and eventually in Congress until they became law. And over the last year or so, I'm incredibly proud of everything we've done to defend the ACA against an all-out assault. Today, the Affordable Care Act is still the law of the land. And the effort to save it dealt conservatives their first major loss of the Trump era. Since 2003, CAP has devoted the same relentless commitment to pairing ideas with activism on one issue after another, from ending the Iraq War to expanding clean energy, from winning greater equality for LGBT rights to reforming our criminal justice system. Our success over the years is a testament to the vision of our founder and our former president, John Podesta, who is a true giant of the progressive cause, and I hope you'll join me in recognizing him for everything he's done and for all he'll continue to do. John? But as we look to today, we have to remember that if history has taught us anything, it is that periods of great progress will provoke backlash amongst those who wish to remain in the past. We're now facing an assault, not just against the progress we've made during the Obama administration, but against some of the progress we've made since the civil rights era. It feels like our values are under attack, not just by the day, but sometimes by the hour. That's why in many ways, CAP's work is more important today than ever before. It's clear that Trump and Trumpism represent an unprecedented threat to our values and our norms. But over the past 15 months, we've seen something equally remarkable to take place in response. We've witnessed the birth of an extraordinary grassroots movement that's flooded our airports, our town halls, and most importantly, our ballot boxes to protect our very democracy. Now progressives have an incredible opportunity to transform this momentum into real and meaningful change. And I firmly believe that in order to realize that goal, we cannot simply resist the current administration. We need an affirmative division that serves as an alternative to Trumpism, an alternative agenda that refuses to accept the limitations of the status quo and that addresses real and deep-rooted problems which gave rise to the current moment. That's one of the reasons why CAP is holding this conference today, to bring together a group of elected officials, thinkers, and activists who can focus on bold ideas which tackle the greatest challenges of our time. Ideas that can address wage stagnation and help bridge America's racial wealth gap and renew the strength of our democracy. Our world is transforming with breathtaking speed, and as globalization and technology have altered our economy, too many working families of all races and backgrounds have borne the brunt of this change. Stepping back, we should remember that one of the founding principles of the progressive movement was protecting Americans who were swept up by the Industrial Revolution. That leaders of that age redefined the very roles and responsibilities of government. And today, as we face another economic transformation, we need to apply that same sense of fearless imagination. Too many of our laws were made for the world that no longer exists. And so we need new thinking and bold ideas to address the challenges we have. That's why earlier this year, CAP issued a plan to achieve universal health care in America, declare that in this country, the greatest country in the world, every person has a right to quality, affordable health care. And earlier this week, CAP unveiled an initiative to raise wages and invest in working people of all races and backgrounds again who are struggling and striving. We call it our blueprint for the 21st century. For people in many communities, they've yet to share the economic progress of the last few decades. Our blueprint would guarantee the opportunity to find a job with dignity and decent pay, all while investing in areas we need to expand productivity and grow our economy: infrastructure, schools, and childcare. We can ensure that every person in America who wants to work has the ability to do so. I think this is a critical time to rethink what it means to be an American, what the social contract is. This is a time for us to think afresh about some of our long-held beliefs. At a moment where some politicians work to divide our nation, CAP still believes in a fundamental truth, that the values we share are still far greater than the differences which threaten to pull us apart. Every family deserves a fair shot at reaching the middle class, at leaving their kids a little further along, whether that family lives in Detroit or Appalachia, in eastern Iowa or East LA. It's true that it's a very divisive time. In fact, it feels like amongst the most divisive times I've ever lived in. But it is truly up to each of us in this moment to help make our nation whole again. It's the challenge of this generation to triumph over the forces of discord that seek to unravel those bonds. Indeed, it's time to prove that we can expand opportunity for everyone who feels left behind by the prosperity of the last several decades, while still fighting as fiercely as ever for those Americans that have felt excluded, been discriminated against since the founding of our republic. That's because progress isn't a game of winner take all that pits one community, one state, or one part of our country against another. Progress is about opening the doors of opportunity even wider after we've stepped through those doors ourselves. That's what we believe in. For 15 years, CAP has fought to advance a basic ideal on behalf of people from every walk of life. And I can promise that as we turn towards the future, we'll continue to work hand in hand with each of you, every person in this room, and from people all across this country, to forge a stronger, fairer, and better America for the next generation to come. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to today, and I appreciate all of your time in coming here. Thank you.